treated differently in Dane County courtrooms based on the color of their skin? One group in Madison is aiming to answer that question.
The group known as Nehemiah has been conducting a study over the last year in Dane County courtrooms. Perez spoke with the group to find out how they're working to educate all of us on racial disparities in our criminal justice system.
There is a price to pay.
You knew if Mr. Faber had ever used cocaine.
The state has not yet filed a criminal complaint.
There are no winners that leave the courtroom here today.
Most people don't want to find themselves in a courtroom.
Thank you all for being here as much as you wish you weren't here.
Benjamin Cortez probably didn't either. But driving 100 miles an hour down Midvale Boulevard and killing someone got him here. And in a way, it got Sandy Rennerty here too. But unlike most of us, she wants to be here. Sandy's a courtroom observer and volunteer with a local group known as Nehemiah. It's her job to make sure people who do end up here get justice. She watches how the prosecutor, victim, defendant, and judge act throughout the process and takes notes.
General details about the case or about the defendant in the case, and then as well as our observations.
Those notes are given to this Justice Project coordinator, Karen Reese.
Are they by the book? Are they following procedure? And are they giving defendants and victims the best justice that they can get?
Justice, the reason behind all of this.
We have seen a handful of cases where we can identify specific racial differences in the way either plea deals were offered or the way the judge handles the case. So looking at same charge, similar age and demographics of the defendant, where the only difference is race.
Whether you're black, white, red, or purple, race is how we got here.
I mean, report after report, statistics show us that it's an issue in Madison.
Reverend G is the founder of Nehemiah. He's been studying justice and race for years.
It can't just be fixed by one organization or one branch of the government. It's got to be everyday people caring about everyday people.
Nehemiah has about 30 volunteers who act as courtroom observers. They go into sentencings, hearings, trials, and just sit, watch, and take notes. So far, they've collectively sat in on more than 200 cases over the past 7 months. They don't have enough data yet to notice any trends or draw any conclusions, but what they have noticed.
I will say that I've seen a couple of times where very similar cases, where one person was African American and one person was white, had very different sentencing recommendations from the prosecutor's office.
Since the year 2000, of all the people who went to prison based on this data, the numbers of black and white people are split nearly 50-50.
Wisconsin only has a 7% black population. So we see black defendants far overrepresented in our criminal justice system.
It's why people like Sandy are here, and judges have started to take notice.
Excellent part of our system that it's open to the public. It's open to anybody, including people who want to come in and study what's going on.
Judge McNamara is aware of exactly what they do in his courtroom, but says it might be difficult to draw any conclusions given the fact that the criminal justice system is so complicated.
Sentencing is really the most complex task any judge has. Impact on a victim has to be taken into account. How a sentence and a crime will affect the public needs to be considered.
But Nehemiah isn't necessarily trying to draw certain conclusions.
This is an observational study, so we're not attempting to make this necessarily quantitative. We're not attempting to compare one judge against the other. We're merely observing how does this system operate in comparison with how the system's supposed to operate.
It's particularly focusing on the difference they can make by having people on the defendant's side.
It makes a difference to them when they see supporters in the courtroom.
That's the next part of the study. Once they've eventually had enough courtroom observers with enough experience, they become courtroom advocates.
And the judge actually sitting on the bench saying, well, I see that you have great representation, that you have people who believe in you, you have people who understand that you are more than what's on this rap sheet in front of me.
You might be wondering, does support on a defendant's side really make a difference? Sandy seems to think so.
We're coming to notice that we think our presence helps people be aware of implicit bias that might be there.
Judge McNamara, on the other hand, says it's still too complicated to know.
On the other hand, we see a lot of people who come from fully intact families, fully supported all the way through, and they can't seem to stop themselves from committing sometimes very serious crime.
Maybe it's too soon to really know. Maybe there is no way to know, no matter how many cases they sit in on. For now, they can conclude one thing.
When we see what they really experience, it can be really eye-opening.
If anything at all, it's a learning experience, one that Judge McNamara even encourages as a way to help better serve that justice.
It's good that we have people that care enough to volunteer the time and put in the effort to try to educate all of us on how things are working and how things could work better.
In Madison, Jamie Perez, WISC News 3.
Nehemiah will continue compiling data and will post their findings on their website when they have enough to make a full report of their observational study in late spring.
Now, if you'd like to volunteer to be a courtroom observer, you can sign up by emailing justifiedanger@nehemiah.org or simply visit their website, nehemiah.org.